goes along. So I wanted to start off. I'm going to introduce John and Eddie. Some of you may already know them. They are in our Mount Dora office. We're really proud of them. They were our #1 producing team for 2019 from any of our offices in the elite group. So they had, I think it was, and don't get mad at me if I misquote this, I'm not sure if you had 302 or 303 closings last year. How many did you have?
303.
303. I knew it was one of the two. Want to give you the benefit of doubt. Always go for the higher one, right? So that's pretty cool. So they have distinctly different job roles. They're a partnership. So why don't you introduce yourselves on the Expert Advisor team, and then we'll talk about what role each one of you play and how important that is, because I think there's a lot we can learn from both of you on this call. So why don't you start off at the top, Eddie?
So we have our traditional brokerage team that we're talking about now, and then we have a property management brokerage, and we have an investment arm and an arm that holds rental properties. And John manages all our investments and that side of the business, and I manage the traditional brokerage side with the team. So
cool.
Yeah.
John, how long are you in real estate, Eddie?
So I've been in the business since 2005 full time. I worked with Vanjie Berry for 6 years and learned the ropes. I was from Atlanta and then moved to Yalaha and experienced culture shock, and just had to figure out how to build a pipeline of customers on my own without leads, without Boomtown, without all the amazing things we have today. And then met John at Vanjie's office, and he was the only guy I had ever met that had the same work ethic as me. And so, we kind of maxed out around 35 to 40 homes a piece a year, and decided, hey, if we want to help more people, we need to partner and build a team, and we started learning about building teams in 10, basically 09 and 10. And then we partnered we moved to Remax in January of 11, and we were there for 3 years, and we got a Boomtown site and did everything kind of backward by working with buyers first. And then, we were fortunate enough to be introduced to Chad, and Chad's been with us now 8 years. And so then we came to Keller in December of 13, and, really excited about all the great human beings we've met in Keller Williams. And so we feel like we're at home now.
Cool. So John, how about yourself?
Yeah, I started into residential real estate in 2009, as Eddie said. So at the bottom, basically the market was on the way down at that point. We worked together at Vanjie's office for 2 years. And then in 2011, when we were at Remax, we got a Boomtown website and partnered together, started trying to build a business. We didn't have the models and systems from KW. So, some of the stuff that we did was in the wrong order, and that just probably cost us a lot of time caused us to go a lot slower doing it that way. So we were hiring agents before we had any admin to pick up the mess that we were creating. So it ended up we had kind of bumbled along. Jim Rohn says you can make progress just careening from wall to wall, or you can have somebody turn the light on for you. And I think at the beginning we started that way, just bumping our heads and figuring out where the boundaries were, and then
And we were cheating. we cheated, and the cheat was we just worked more hours than anybody else.
Yep.
Which is not
advisable. And then once we started following models, it started getting smoother and better, and we started getting through different stages of growth a little bit faster. So,
you know what I love what you just said though, John, is that you made a lot of mistakes. So a lot of people think the most successful people in any industry, they think that we don't make mistakes, and the truth is we make more mistakes than everybody else because we take more actions than most people. And those people who procrastinate, they're waiting for perfection. Perfection is just simply overrated. And I always like telling people that perfection is the enemy of profitability. If we're waiting to be perfect, you waited too long. We just need to go out and take action. It doesn't matter if it's pretty, if it looks good. We learn more from the mistakes than we've made than from the successes. Sometimes when I did things right, I just don't know how to duplicate it, right? And yet when we make mistakes, we know what not to do the next time because it turned out pretty darn ugly. So talk to me about your holdings. You manage the holding side. How many rental properties and how many investment properties do you have right now?
So Eddie and I, we started basically a flipping company a couple years into the downturn. So we were working with a bunch of investors, and of course they're buying rental properties, and then eventually they're like, hey, what if we, because we were at the beginning, we were basically managing renovations for them and all that kind of stuff so they could get tenants in there. And then one of them started saying, well, what if I were to just put this back on the market? What would it sell for? And so we ended up, starting to flip property for him because of that. And then we ended up partnering with him and doing some flips on our own. And then in about 2000, I want to say 16, I think when did we buy our first rental, Eddie? Was it 16?
Our very first rental was in 2015. We bought for like $13,000. It was a condo.
Yeah, it was a condo we bought.
Those were the good old days, huh?
Yeah.
A condo from the courthouse, and that 13 grand was after I paid someone $5 grand to buy it from him. So somebody else bought it for 7,500. So, but anyway, that's our highest producing cash flow property still to this day. But right now we have 47 rental properties between us. So he and I have 41, and then we each have 3 with our own family. So like my wife and I have 3, and his wife and him have 3. The reason why that is that way, just so people understand, is like we pretty much put all of our own money back into the business from the money we generated from flipping property, and then we buy property corporately. But if I have cash building up in my own accounts at home with my wife, then we started taking that money and then buying another property so that I have that money active. Like I don't like it just sitting there in my bank account not doing anything. So as it would build up, I would go buy another property, and then it build up and go buy another property. And so we started, accumulating a couple on our own outside of our corporate holdings.
So between the two of you, you have 47 in 5 years. So you're basically adding about 10 a year that you're holding on to. Now, yeah. Is your general formula more a hold, a flip, or it depends?
So at the beginning, we only held ones that we either had to keep very little money in them, or they were really high cash flow or whatever. In the last couple of years, we really started ramping up the ones that we were holding. So we probably only bought maybe a handful up until like 2017 or 18. And then we started buying more and more and more. So the last year, of course, we bought the most. We bought like 20 properties last year. And I'm the acquisitions guy for us right now. And so I got to the place where I pretty much hate flipping property because I hate giving all the money to the government and all the tax liabilities. Like there's so many benefits to keeping it versus flipping it. And it's the same amount of time to go find the property and and I'm still looking for a value add when I'm going to keep it as a rental. So I really hate flipping property unless I have to. So, and the way I look at it, I have to flip it if I have to keep too much money in it, or if it's too high end of a property. So if it's over, say, $250,000, I mean, then it's not going to cash flow very well usually, unless it's like, I don't know. I mean, there's maybe a couple of our rental properties that are worth more than that, but we got them at extremely good deals, and so we were able to keep them as rentals. Because if I don't get it at a super extremely good deal and it's over $250,000, then I'm gonna turn around and resell it because it won't cash flow very well, like the mortgage.
I remember, Eddie, when I bought my first rental property, I was focused on all the wrong things. And back in 2012, and I was looking at how much profit am I going to make? What's my return? And I had to adjust my mindset, not looking at the return. I had to look at the return on investment as a form of a percentage. Because when you look at the numbers, you may say it's 15,000, 20,000, 30,000 on a flip, or whatever that's going to be positive cash flow. And it's not until I converted the money into a percentage of the purchase whether it was cash on cash or return on investment, that I realized where was I maximizing getting the best dollar, the best bang for my buck. That was like really big for me.
Yeah, see, I look at it differently than that, Rich, and the reason is because all the properties I'm buying with basically private money, and then.
So you don't even use your own money?
No, we couldn't. I mean, we couldn't have bought 47 properties, and probably 90% of those were bought in 2 to 3 years. So the last, the end there, we bought all most of them. But the thing is, we buy them with private money, and then we refinance them. So there's none of our money, like the ideal property. This doesn't happen every time, but the ideal property, I leave $0 of mine back in it. So the ROI, if you're going to count it that way, would be
it's infinity.
It would be infinite. And so that's not how I count it. Like what I'm looking for is a amount of cash flow that makes me feel safe, because the cash flow is my ability to withstand a storm or a downturn in the market. If I got $500 in cash flow and rents pull back, and now I only got 400 or 300 or 200, it's very unlikely I'm going to go all the way and use up completely 500. And even in that case, we have reserves set aside in order to, if we had to go negative, we could go negative for a long, long time. So that's how I'm looking at it. Instead of an ROI, I'm looking at it more of what is the amount of cash flow? If it's $100,000 property, maybe I'm okay with $400 or $300. But if it's $175,000 property, I want at least $500. It's kind of, that's just, ballpark. It's not exact every time, you buy one and you think it's going to be 500, and then your taxes go up and now it's 400, and then rent goes up next year. Now I got 500 again. So it's kind of a moving target, but that's kind of the rule of thumb.
So those numbers are really high, by the way. If you listen to Bigger Pockets across the nation, the average people are looking to get is $200 to $250 a month net after taxes, insurance, and HOA. And Rich, since you brought up ROI, I have a video that I'm going to send through the chat.
Okay.
The YouTube link in the chat. So, for people that are interested in learning about ROI, this is a video I did 9 years ago. So John found it the other day on YouTube and sent it to me, but it really maps out the difference between cash on cash or when you leverage it with a bank, and how your ROI can double by leveraging the investment. So I just
love that. I appreciate that. Yeah. So one last question, and then we'll switch to Eddie on the production side as far as the team goes. So you're using creative financing, right? So so is this like considered hard money? You want to walk us through real fast on what you're doing with that?
Yeah. So we have used hard money. We've used lenders like Lima One Capital and Corvest and some of those other ones. But we use what I call private money, which is more like friends and family money. It's like a past client that has a real high net worth individual that's got money sitting around in a bank making 0.5%, and we pay them 8% or whatever for the use of their money for a period of time. So we do 1 year. I do 13-month mortgages instead of 12, because if the bank on the other end, when I go to refinance it, requires me to have it seasoned, then they would, sometimes the seasoning 6 months, sometimes 12 months. So I give myself that extra month just in case we've never actually had to use that. Usually we're able to refinance in 4 to 6 months. And that our goal is to refinance as quickly as possible to put it into what we call it permanent financing, but it's basically just long-term debt. So
when you refinance, you're looking to pull out all your capital out that you initially invested. So now you've got none of your own money in the transaction, and everything you have coming in is pure profit.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
What did you say, Eddie?
It's a winning formula, guys.
No, what did you say, Eddie? I didn't hear you.
It doesn't happen. I would say that's happened to maybe 25% of the time. The rest of them, we got a little bit of money left into it,
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's like Jim Rohn says, it doesn't work every time.
That's right.
Right. You walk into that investment with a strategy. You're not winging it. Is the point?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So Eddie, talk to me about the team. So what changes have you made on the team structure as far as with the coronavirus, or as far as activities? What does an average day look like in one of your agents' lives today? What are they doing?
Well, for sure it's different. very few people I see at the office. John goes to the office every day still, and I was at the office yesterday. I'm at my home office today, but you know, it took us a while to find some masks and gloves, you know, and so I got a few boxes of those and just delivered them yesterday to the office. And so just let the team know that, you know, some of them are going out to show property today, and hopefully they'll bring those with them. I haven't had a seller ask me to put one on, but I have a Ziploc with masks and gloves in it. And then when I walk in, I say, hey, I'm happy to put this on if it makes you feel more comfortable. And most of them just say, no, just keep your distance, you know, from me. But most of the agents are focused on doing some online activity as far as, you know, online virtual opens. So virtual open houses using our Matterport. So we're using the Matterport camera on all of our listings, and then our agents are, you know, doing virtual opens on those Matterport tours and then connecting to Facebook Live so that they can generate some activity and some showings and some customers. So, but you know, our focus has been to increase our percentage of closings that come from Sphere and past clients. And so, you know, now's as a better time than any to reach out to our people and first and foremost, just ask them how they're doing, how their family's doing. Is everybody healthy and safe? And how's work going? Are they working from home? Just, and then asking them, you know, who do they know that we should know? Who can we help, you
Right.
know, right now? And just, and it doesn't have to be a conversation about referrals right now because of this, but it does have to be about deepening our relationships. And so, you know, I think that, you know, over time, that's going to benefit all of us for the long term. They may be in a conversation with someone who has lost their job and really needs to sell. So, you know.
Sure. So have you, and it was one of the strategies been to increase the amount of calls or the amount of time people lead generating on your team during this to build those relationships?
You know, for sure, we're having those conversations about the fact that they are working from their home office and that they should be focused on, you know, increasing their contacts.
Mm-hmm.
And Chad, I don't know if Chad's still here right now. I see his picture.
His glamour shot is up. There you go.
But Chad is managing the team as the sales manager, and he is getting numbers from them. Chad, tell us about your, you know, the tracking systems you're using for the agents and how you feel like it has changed since the virus is in place.
So to answer your question directly, Rich, the agents are focused on, we're just keeping everybody focused on, yes, increasing the number of people you're calling. You know, the out-of-town buyers are pretty much on pause. And sellers, but they got it. Well, so everyone out of town can't come into town right now. So we can all establish that. That's part one. And then in town, the people that are local, there's the people that are freaked out or they don't have a clear motivation, and those people they're just waiting. And so we're having to fight harder and call more people, as I've heard you talk about on some of your previous interviews, to find the hot A buyers that are ready to go. They are out there, and sellers, by the way. We're taking how many? I don't know how many listings. There was a lot. We talked about, I don't know, 20 listings are going active this month on our team.
Yeah, we're pushing 9 listings live this week.
How many?
Yeah,
9.
Wow.
So there's a lot of activity, and it's just about increasing the activity. And those people that are not ready to go, it's okay. Just nurture them and put them in that nurture status, and then just keep going until you find. It's the clawing and scratching to find the A buyer, the A seller that's ready to rock and roll.
Sure.
And you do have to sift through more sand to find those people. So
Chad, are you still seeing the same amount or of multiple offers? Is the demand still as high on the listings that are hitting the market now?
I don't know. As far as our listings hitting the market, I don't know if I know we have buyer agent on the team that are dealing with multiple offer situations. I don't know as far as our active listings, if I'm the best person to answer that. Are we seeing multiple offer situations?
I got multiple offers on Sunday, a couple days ago, on one of our listings that just went live on Saturday, Friday or Saturday, we pushed it live. So, you know, we're still seeing it from time to time for sure.
Okay. Yeah. And what I'm seeing from all the brokerages that I have ownership or influence in is that typically there are a lot of people on the sidelines. They're just waiting. And the people that don't have motivation or urgency, Eddie, they're sitting by and they're holding tight. I'm not sure that's a good strategy, but that's what a lot of people are doing. And the people who are really motivated that have to buy or sell, or the people that are stuck in a 1031 exchange and they have to invest, they've got to go out and purchase or do the back end if they did it backwards and sell their property. These people are still in it. They're writing contracts. When they ask to show a house, they want to see a house today. They're writing contracts now. And what I've been explaining to the agents is, if you've got a seller who's sitting on the sidelines, we're still looking at under 3 months supply of inventory. Wouldn't you want your house to be seen in this market where the demand is still high? Because if enough buyers sit on the sideline, well, guess what? Or wouldn't you want to be where you have top priority? And one of our guests yesterday that said, or would you want to wait if you're on the buy side, you jump in 3 months when everything seems to be good, when everybody else is, all of the hot deals are gone, and then you're just looking at buying a leftover, what he called a leftover property. And I thought that was a real good point that he made. So
yeah, plus right now, there's still great comps right now.
Yeah.
There may not be great comps in 3 months.
Yeah,
right.
The thing is, we don't know what's going to happen. That's the bottom line.
That's right.
All of us are speculating. We think it's going to go up. We think it's going to go down. We don't. And the truth is, nobody actually knows. And we think we know. And I have, hunches and feelings, but that's all they are, is guesses, to be honest. And the more honest we are with ourselves, the better off we're going to be, because we won't be so committed to one outcome that we make bad decisions. And the truth is, like, what I believe is going to happen is, I believe the market's going to pull back and go down, but it's not happening yet, because there's still a high demand especially for entry-level housing. So, like, I think if you're in a higher end house, like over, say, 400,000, I would be definitely calling those sellers to get them to reduce their price, or they're going to be screwed. They're going to be chasing the market down, I believe, no question about it. The lower end, there's still such high demand. I don't know. Like, we don't know exactly what's going to happen there. But what I'm telling sellers is, hey, look, right now is probably the best price you're going to get for your house in the next 2 years. So you wait 3 months, it's going to be worse. You wait 6 months, it's going to be worse than 3 months. Like, right now is the best price you're going to get. We still have very strong comps. The market has been going up. So where we're at now, even if it goes down, the comps are still up here, and they're still going to support a high sale price. On the buy side, if I'm buying to live in it, it doesn't really matter when they buy. I would say buy right away. Interest rates are good, all of that. But if they're buying for investment, I would wait. I would for sure wait. I mean, I think it's, if you're going to try to flip a house right now, it's extremely risky to try to buy a property to flip right now. If you're gonna buy a rental, if it'll cash flow, go ahead and buy. Like, we're still buying stuff that's going to cash flow as long-term holds. But it has to be such a, like, ridiculously good deal that I have to be an idiot to not buy it in order for me to buy it to flip right now. So, I mean, I'm not taking that kind of risk.
Just to back on that, the underlying fundamentals of the inventory shortage, plus the demand, plus low interest rates, are going to prop it up for a period of time on the lower end, like he's saying. Yeah. It's just that the challenge is, how do we integrate 20 million people that have filed for unemployment back into society, plus the perception of the virus, the perception of, can we really get back together in a restaurant? This is the challenge, the overcoming those emotional perceptions with human beings in the United States is going to be the biggest inhibitor to the market bouncing back to the normal, so.
And that's the thing that we just don't know. Like, you don't know, in a couple months, when restaurants open up, are people going to be comfortable eating their food, or thinking that the chef is sneezing on it? You know what I mean? And if people are afraid, they're not going to go back to the restaurant.
There's a great visual on that one, John.
Yeah, I mean, my point is this: we don't actually know how people are going to respond when they have the option.
Right.
And so if we don't know that, saying, oh, it's just going to do this, or no, you don't know that. Maybe they will go back. I've heard a lot of people say, I cannot wait till restaurants open. I'm going back as soon as I can. But you don't know. Like, people might, and they might not. And if they don't, then our economy is going to suffer more, and there's going to be more closures of businesses and things like that. Right. Either way, what we have to do is take action on what we can right now. And what we know right now is what the market is right now. and it's still really good for sellers. So they should sell right away if they're thinking about it, you know. So
what you said is 100% true, because we have a call. I have a call every day with Keller Williams International as a bolt coach with the coaches and the executives. And see, they don't know. Nobody knows. They're giving you best guess estimates. And what you said, you just hit the nail on the head, because right now we're really not feeling the impacts of the virus as far, not from a health perspective, but from a real estate perspective, because we're still selling. We're still closing. You know, Eddie, you said you've got 20 listings hitting the market this month, 9 this week. You're still getting multiple offers. And I think the biggest challenge we're having is people are hiding behind the profit or the closings that we're having today. The truth of the matter is, the reason why we haven't seen a big dip in our business is because it's too soon.
We have a 30 to 45-day sales cycle.
That's
can't
right.
tell yet.
That's right.
Know?
The big tail will be what happens in June, July, and August. And that's what I'm getting from Keller Williams International. We'll find out what's going to happen in this market June, July, and August, because we have to still go through the activity cycle, which is 60 to 90 days. So the closings, the listings that you're putting on the market, because of all the work we did back in February, right? So what happens in June, July, and August? And that's the unknown, and that's, I think, what you were referring to. So
well, here, I'm going to read something to you. This is from this guy named, I think his name is Howard Marks. So listen to this. He says, what is the U.S. see today? One of the greatest pandemics to reach us since the Spanish flu 102 years ago, the greatest economic contraction since the Great Depression, which ended 80 years ago, the greatest oil price reduction in the OPEC era and probably ever, and the greatest central bank and government intervention of all time. So the future for all these things is clearly unknowable. We have no reason to think we know how they'll operate in the period ahead, how they'll interact with each other, and what the consequences will be for everything. In short, my view is that if you're experiencing something that has never been seen before, you simply can't say you know how it'll turn out. And that's what I'm saying is, like, everybody has their own, you know, cognitive biases about how they think it's going to go. Oh, we think it's going to go down because it did last time, or we think it's going to go up. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. There's so many things that we actually we've never seen this kind of government intervention. So we really don't know. Like, maybe it doesn't impact, the buyers as much as we think it's going to, because they're getting unemployment and then their jobs open back up and they go back to work and everybody shows up. My hunch is that's not going to happen because of stuff like Disney and different places that are not going to be able to recover the revenue. Like, it's not coming back. The people that were coming here for a 30-day, vacation, the Europeans that were coming for their 30-day, or 2-month vacation or whatever.
Holiday, whatever.
Yeah. Like, they're not coming this year. It ain't coming. So that money is not coming back to our market. And so I feel like there's no way around an economic pullback. But the truth is, I don't know. I don't even know how much the government's going to intervene. We think, they're intervening a lot, but what if they may add multiple more layers of funding to these loan programs and all that kind of stuff. And it could cause the market to actually go up due to inflation. Because
we're in uncharted territory. We just, like you said, we just don't know. Yeah. Time is going to tell out. But the thing is, I get Gary comes on our calls a lot now, Gary Keller, and he's always saying, listen, guys, we need to prepare for the worst and strive for the best. And that's exactly what we need to do as individuals. So, Eddie, have you guys filed for any of the grants from the government that's being held available?
We did. We filed for 5 EIDLs. That's the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And we filed for 2 PPPs, which is the Paycheck Protection Program. And we held all our business accounts at Chase. And I have a business banker at Chase. And she told me she was going to text me when the link opened, and she didn't. And I found out from one of my GoBundance brothers that they had opened it. So I went in and, filed the application and went through the process. And the app I turned in was 109 pages long. And so the PPP program will cover 2.5 months of your payroll. So we were approved. I sent the app in on a Friday or a Monday. I'm sorry, on a Monday. And I heard that following Saturday.
Wow.
Approved, and that our account would be funded within 3 business days. And on Tuesday, we got just a deposit just happened to arrive that occurred for $112,450 for our.
Congratulations. I still haven't heard back from my bank.
A
I
bunch
filed
of
2
people.
weeks ago.
Yeah.
SunTrust.
Who's your bank, Rich?
SunTrust.
Okay.
Somebody else told me the same. They had a big problem with SunTrust. Didn't get.
So you read that there's a lawsuit was filed yesterday against Wells Fargo and Chase for allegedly funding the bigger deals so that they'd get paid more. But there's a gentleman that I filed at two places. I mean, I applied with 2 banks because we have 2 banks that we use, and Chase just happened to come through, you know. So, but what I'll do is I'll get the name and number of a gentleman that has funded a lot of PPPs, and you don't have to be a customer of the bank, I was told. And he's been successful at doing that. And, you know, last night when we were on our call with GoAbundance, David Osborne was on, and he said that essentially it came down to sophistication in the banker, like how their level of relationship with the customer, and then their relationship with the SBA and the Fed and that sort of thing, and getting the apps in, you know. So,
Right.
But I did see this morning that they're getting ready to sign another $410 billion in funding. So.
Well, I'm hoping I get approved on round 2. So just so you know, too, so you should be speaking to your team leaders. We are offering a stimulus package from our company. It's not going to be nowhere near as big as what you're looking to get from the government, but we have some pretty cool things with some high-end face masks. I funded like for 35 for each office. They're more on the high end. So these are reusable. You'll never throw away. Kind of pretty cool stuff. Other things too, agent bills, rent fees, desk fees, all kind of stuff. So for the agents that are on the line, it doesn't matter what office you're from, we're looking to help out as best as we can if you didn't get federal funding. Speak to your team leaders, call them up, ask questions. So I don't want to take up more time. What I would like to do is open up to the agents to see what questions they might have for you. So this is your opportunity as an agent or if a guest, to ask John, Eddie, or Chad whatever questions you would like, guys.
Hey, Rich, I have a question.
Sure.
This goes out to any of the guys. I would like to know which one of you guys are going to bold pivot, and if not, are you getting your agents to do it?
Chad.
Chad.
Everybody went to Chad.
Appreciate that, guys. So as of right now, we have promoted it to the agents. I don't know that either of the 3 of us has committed to bold pivot. And I don't know who on the team is committed to it. I'd have to follow up on that. It hasn't been something I've heavily promoted, so personally. So it doesn't mean it's, you know, so anyway, I'm just having an honest moment here with you. We have talked about it. We have promoted it. It just hasn't been overly promoted, and I haven't followed up. I am in very good communication with all of our agents almost on a daily basis, but we haven't followed up on that specific.
So you may want to speak to Kate and Bethany. I've just approved.
Sure.
I paid for 50 registrations for the 3 locations, 20 in Claremont, 20 in Spring Hill, and 10 for Citrus for agents who haven't signed up already. The ones who've signed up already, I'm going to do a reimbursement on the first closing. For the 50, I'm just paying out of my pocket. 50 registrations is $5,000 to get people involved in Bold Pivot instead of sitting in front of a television and just listening to all the negativity and fear that's being spread. So
Awesome.
It's about the action, the activities, guys.
Now, Bold Pivot is being done over a Zoom call like what we're doing right now, right?
No,
correct?
it's going to be live streamed.
Oh.
John, they're going to live stream it. Gary Keller took over, and instead of having 49 bold coaches, they had us build these studios and everything in our homes. And then about a week and a half later, they said they're going to only have 8 bold coaches present. They're going to do it live stream, so the technology is a little bit better, a little bit more controlled atmosphere. Mm-hmm. And then they're going to provide 8 sessions where the coaches corner. So now, it's going to be Tuesdays and Thursdays from 2 to 4 with bold training. Wednesdays and Fridays from 2 to 4 will be for the coaches corner, where the agents can go in. You have access to all 49 bold coaches for script and role play, situational real estate. What do I do when XYZ happens? All of those type of scenarios. And then there's a Bold Pivot Facebook page where you can the agents can go on right now. they don't have to wait till May 5th and it starts, and they can actually engage with Bold coaches right now. I've got to do a shift from today from 1 to 3. So there's a live Bold coach assigned there from Monday through Saturday from 8 in the morning till 6 at night. So
Wow, that's awesome.
what we're doing. Yeah. So, and it's for $99, which is, we're never going to see this again. It's a one and done. It's $800, normally $799. So it's going to be done. And so if the agents were holding out because of money, they didn't have the money. I've just granted 50 registrations that I'm paying for. So each office has 20 with the exception of Citrus because their office is smaller. They've got 10. So speak to the people, but there's going to be a commitment on return, guys. If I'm paying for the registration, the agent had better take every class. They better do the homework. They better be committed. I want to make sure that they're engaged doing what they're supposed to do if I'm paying for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great, Rich. Thank you for doing that, man. That's great.
Absolutely. So great question, Sherry. So what other questions do you guys have before we let John and Eddie go? Yes, Tamika.
Hey, I've got one. So in addition to your care calls that you're doing, and obviously that's care first, then it's real estate second, are you doing anything to communicate, to educate the other realtors out there that don't have KW or the database about how the market really is? Because there's so much misconstrued information out there that they really don't know, and they're operating off of fear instead of truth. So do you have any other platforms that you're getting that information out on? We sent out like a mass email to our database, and we got a great return on it because people weren't aware of what was actually going on in the market.
Yeah.
Are you guys doing anything else other than that?
You know, it's reaching out to them. We did do some mass emails as well. Like we put together a shelter in place document that was just in an effort to provide value to our customer base, you know, saying, hey, you know, I know a lot of you are working from home, and you know, this has some links and some resources in it to help you go through that process. But you know, John has put out a video or two about the market and what he sees and what he thinks, and you know, prefacing it with, this is my opinion, but it was all good advice, because I do believe if you do want to sell, that right now is when you need to sell, you know. So not everybody has to sell, and I love that when I meet with sellers all the time. They're like, oh, I don't have to sell. Yeah, I'm like, I know. And out of the 1,500 homes I've sold, 50% of the people had to sell, and 50% just wanted to sell because they have a goal to get closer to their grandchildren or whatever. So,
Right.
But I think that, you know, John has put out those videos that we were putting out, but, you know, we were also looking at, let me share my screen quickly with you and send you and just show you kind of what I'm looking at in MLS real fast, because I don't have sharing capability. Oh, yes, I do. Here it is. Boom. Okay. So in MLS, if you are going in here and you look at what has gone pending in the last 7 days, in Lake County, let's just look at Lake right now, just to narrow it down, and you can put in your county. But 117 houses have gone pending in the last 7 days. If we do 14, it's 219, right? Like roughly double. We go to 21, 3 weeks back, we're at 315. And every time we do this, if we go to 28, we're at 424. We're roughly around 100 pendings a week that are going, that are houses that are going under contract. So, you know, that I just went back 5 weeks, right? And it was roughly a little over 100. So as far as what's going on in the market, I still see a consistent amount of homes going under contract, you know, for the last 5 weeks in a row, and you could go back further. And that's the message that I'm sending when I speak with our sellers or speak with people that are considering selling, is just that, like, hey, you know, that we still have activity. We're just pivoting and we're doing things a little differently. We're focused on virtual opens versus physical opens. And I think that for the people that really need to sell, it's just kind of talking with us kind of settles them down a little bit. And, you know, we always just want to be the calming force, right? Whether it's with our spouse, our kids, our team, our clients, whoever it is, we just want to be the calming force and letting them know, hey, this is what we're looking at. This is what we're seeing. And so that's a great question. We definitely.
One thing that's difficult is like what Rich is saying, that we don't have that much data yet. So even what we're sharing, you know, to say, hey, this is what we think the market's going to do, or this is what the market's doing, it's kind of hard to tell because like how many of you guys have had a pending go back on the market in the last 3 weeks? Anybody raise your hand? So like we've had that happen. So even when you see stuff going pending, we don't know how many of those are actually going to go to closing or how many of those are going to come back on the market because of the stuff that's going on. So you know, what we're sharing with people is, hey, people are still buying and selling houses. We got this many closing this week. We have this many going on the market. So, you know, if you want to sell your house, we still believe now is a great time because the comps are still very strong. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. It may go down, which is what I anticipate. I believe it's going to go down, but I don't know that for sure. So, but if it does, right now is the best time to sell your house. You know, a week ago is probably the best time, but right now is better than the next week. So, and that's really what I believe too. I mean, I'm committed to that. I'm not saying that I'm not wrong. If I'm wrong, great. I hope I'm wrong. But if I'm right, you know, if you want to sell your house and you want to get the most equity out of it, you should do it sooner rather than later. And that's what I'm sharing with you. That's the message that I'm sharing with customers that ask me, you know.
Love
Are
it.
you still selling houses? Yes. When's a good time to sell? Now. So not with any panic in my voice or anything. I'm not afraid. I'm just telling you
Right.
what I believe. I mean, if you sell it later, you're going to get less for your house. And if you're going to sell and buy, it doesn't really matter. It's called a lateral move. You're going to get a better deal on the one you buy too. So if you're not ready to sell, you don't have to. But if you are going to sell and trying to get money out of it, you should do it right now.
You know what Gary always tells us too? Gary says, no matter, I don't care what the circumstances are, the conditions are, when you go into MLS, exactly what you just did, Eddie, every day there are closings, pendings, and listings going in MLS. There's no such thing where the market goes to zero. Never. There's always somebody looking to buy, sell, and list. So we've just got to get people past the point of fear and tap into motivation so we can actually help them do what they actually plan to do. And that's
I just did a search, and there was 699 closings in the last 5 weeks in Lake County. So, you know, so if as agents, if we'll just take the time to just do that simple search real quick in MLS, we'll see, oh, there was 700 sales, which means there was 1,400 sides, right? So for sure, I should be calling enough people. Do I have to do more work than I used to have to do? Yes, but for sure, I'm going to get some of those 1,400.
Right. That's
I'm
right.
going to get my unfair share. And I've always said, like, I don't care if a nuclear bomb hits. There's going to be people selling and buying, and I'm going to be in the middle of it and get paid. So, like, it's more about mindset right now than anything else. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, guys, listen, I so appreciate your time. We've taken up more time than I promised you. I told you 30 to 40 minutes. I think we're on 45 right now. If there's anything I could do, I'm always here. Just text me, call me. I'm always here to help you guys chat. If there's anything I could do for the team, just let me know, buddy. I'm here.
Hey, Rich, we feel the same, man, and we really appreciate you, brother. Anything you need, let us know. And if somebody has questions, feel free to reach out to us directly. We'll be happy to answer any questions offline too.
I put my cell phone on the chat right there. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. And thanks, Rich. Appreciate you, buddy.
You got it. And I appreciate you putting that video up. I'm going to check that out right now.
Yeah, man. It's like, wow, it's 9 years old. I had a beard, but the concept is on point for the ROI. And it's right. really helpful to kind of walk through that. The sound is not great when I go to the properties, because I actually go to some properties. I think I'm going to get Warren to clean that up. It's really windy on part of it, but when I'm at the whiteboard, that part is helpful.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, guys. Everybody take care and stay safe.
All right, guys.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.